You right now, Jamie, I know how excited you are about Kamala Harris being picked as the vice president. Please just calm down a little.
I'll do my best, Sam, but you
really,
are correct
you're
in that
really,
I am very
you are really containing yourself, and I appreciate that, because I didn't watch. People don't know that you were one of the early K-Hive members, and you have been able to really. You have been playing it very close to the vest, kept you cool during this whole time where there was, and so I want you to. I want you to know that appreciate your being able to not gloat at this moment.
Well, thank you, Sam. I appreciate that you appreciate me.
There are other people who are rolling out, I guess, what are the talking points. Like this is, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the issue of Barack Obama being black was a big bone of contention on the right in 2008. There was a resent that he was considered, or going to be considered, the first black president because his mom was white. And
I thought you were going to say because Bill Clinton was the first black president.
Well, that also was confusing in many respects, but there was a huge discourse about on the right. Like, he's not even black. He's half black. And it was sort of fascinating to see to see people were like suddenly conscious of like race seems to be a social construct. He can't, that wasn't quite what their argument was, but I think for the life of me, I still can't figure out what parsing that was about. I can't. I know that this seems like sort of like naive on my part on some level, but I really couldn't quite figure out like what is it that they. And here is Mark Levin. Now, Kamala Harris's dad, if I'm not mistaken, is I think he's still alive. A Jamaican. He's actually like a serious leftist professor, right?
Pretty dope Marxist.
Yeah. And
the apple fell off a cliff.
And her
like Buttigieg's dad.
Her mom,
and like all the Kennedys.
Her mom is East Asian of some. I don't know. I probably should have looked this up, but
South Asian, I believe.
Southeast Asian. And here is Mark Levin, and I only bring this up because we're introducing this clip from Mark Levin, who is, I don't know how familiar people are with Jamie, how familiar are you with Mark Levin?
Not familiar.
Okay. Mark Levin is one of the biggest right-wing talkers in the country. And he, I think, and when Laura Ingraham was on the radio, he was very, very important in quashing like immigration reform under in Bush in 2005. He has very close relationship with Sean Hannity. He has a very big show. In fact, his operation merged with Blaze TV, and I think the money came in through him. So he's a very prominent guy. He just sat down with Bill Barr the other day. And this is how he's opening his show. And I still, for the life of me, I can't quite figure out what this does for them politically, but it must do something. Here it is.
Liberty's Voice, Levin TV.
Hello, America.
Oh, pause it.
Levin,
1 second. I should also say that intro is not a parody. It's real. So go back. I just want you to know that. Like,
I put a wax seal on my digital video.
Exactly. Like, I mean, if we were to do a parody, that's how I would open it, would be with that voice and with this image. But go ahead.
Liberty's Voice, Levin TV.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Levin TV. Well, I want to take a look at Kamala Harris with you. Kamala Harris right now. I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to be a stickler about this, but the media will insist on it. Kamala Harris is not an African American. She is Indian and Jamaican. Jamaica is part of the Caribbean. India is out there near China. I only point that out because if you dare raise that, you're attacked. But the truth is she's not. And so I just wanted to make that clear. Her ancestry does not go back to American slavery. To the best of my knowledge, her ancestry doesn't go back to slavery at all. So I want to point that out because of the bizarre nature of our politics today about who is what and so forth and so on. Normally I wouldn't care. I still don't care. But I keep hearing people say she would be the first African-American vice president. No, if she's elected, God forbid, or nominated and then elected, she's still not the first African-American vice president. Just want to point that out. She'd be the first vice president of color, but not African-American.
Completely
there's a
inconsistent.
There's a couple of things that just like pop up for me, just that may be a little bit pedantic. But to be an African American, do you have to be descended from a slave?
The entire reason that the ADOS, African Descendants of Slave, have that appellation is to make that distinction.
Right. That's what I thought. So you can be an African American,
or you could be black,
or you could be black. But I'm saying
black. Yeah.
Like you know, where does Mark Levin think the people who inhabit Jamaica came from?
Yeah, was my other question is, how did he think how black people got to Jamaica?
I think he will find it has to do with slavery.
And slavery pretty bad in the Caribbean too, actually. So, and this idea that nobody can bring this up, I'm looking at, here's a CNN, Washington Post, India, Jamaica, delighted by Kamala Harris VP pick. So I guess they can bring it up. And those countries as a whole are delighted.
I mean, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing up someone's ethnicity. But this idea that somehow like, that Levin is so upset that people are saying it's the first African-American vice president. like if you don't care, then why do you care?
He clearly cares about cultural appropriation a whole lot.
Yep.
I mean, this is something that we've seen before, right? You were just talking about Obama. There were also efforts by Ilhan Omar's opponents to circulate information implying that she's not really, doesn't have a legit claim to Black American identity because she is an immigrant. So they see this Black identity as a positive for the Democrats who are, to some degree running on it, on their diversity and whatever, and they want to take that away from them if they can.
But I mean, how do you take away the idea of diversity that she's of Jamaican and Indian descent?
Well, this is the confusion.
I can't quite understand like what the angle is here. Like if he came out and said she's posing as African American, but she's actually of Jamaican and Indian descent, that she's phony Kamala. But he's not doing that. Like, I can't quite figure out like what it is that compels them to, I can understand, like, if you're talking about her broadly speaking, you're doing like a half hour, 45 minute, sort of like, who is she? Who is her dad? Who is her mom? And that comes up, but I don't get what.
I think it's because like what Candace Owens is selling, like that. They have this idea that Black people are a monolith. So when it comes out that actually Black people are really diverse and actually do come from a whole variety of, places like the Caribbean or slavery itself or wherever, right? Like they're shocked that a diversity that much can still vote Democrat. I think that's what fundamentally bugs them so much.
You know what? I think the fact that he brought up American slavery is his way of saying that she's going to be asking for stuff that there is no argument that she deserves. on some level, right? Like there's no reparations argument here with her because she came from Jamaica and India, her descendants did. I mean, that's the only reason why I can imagine he equates African American with a descendant of slavery.
Yeah, did she get a
Maybe.
special grant to go to Howard University and pretend to be, African American when in reality she doesn't have that experience or something?
Yeah, I think he's trying to sort of delegitimize her identity in the eyes of African American descendants of slaves.
I guess I can't imagine there's a huge audience of those folks that are watching Levin.
Watching Levin TV,
or that
you'd be
are
surprised.
supportive of Kamala, to be honest.